This is an effective raw value close to 500, explosions raining down non-stop, and you're practically immortal. What's up guys, Chris here, and today Gluko is going to show you the 3 extremely powerful longsword builds in Monster Hunter Wilds after the first title update. With the new patch, Capcom rebalanced several tools, skills, and weapon moves. Unfortunately, they didn't make any adjustments to the longsword motion values, so as many of you already know from the speedruns on our channel, the Crimson Slash combo is still the best one for maximizing DPS. But don't worry, for those who have got an anime by their side, these builds also work well with the Helmbreaker playstyle. All builds in this video will feature Quick Sheath level 3, which, although not as overpowered as in Rise, still makes Special Sheath much more comfortable to use. And since the EI Spirit Slash is the most powerful counter of the longsword, it's definitely worth using. Let's start with the build that has by far the highest DPS, featuring an Artian longsword, which is still the best pick if you manage to get a decent roll thanks to the presence of 3 level 3 slots. This allows you to fit both critical boost level 5 and sharpness skills. If you don't have an Artian longsword with at least 225 base attack, you can go with the Soshia longsword instead. It has solid stats overall, plus access to its unique ability, White Flame Torrent. This build makes use of 2 new Soshia pieces, the Helm and Chest, which are quite strong because of their generous slot count and valuable points in Agitator, paired with the classic Guardian Arcveld Vambraces, Gore Coil and Gore Greaves, along with the Counter Charm and all the jewels you see on the screen. We end up with this devastating build. Agitator level 5 gives you 20 attack and 15% affinity when the monster is enraged. Maximum Might level 3 provides 30% affinity when your stamina is full, but it deactivates after 2 seconds if your stamina isn't at max. However, if you consume a bit of stamina and refill it to full before those 2 seconds pass, you won't lose the buff from the skill whatsoever. And thanks to the presence of Constitution, which is a secondary skill from the Gore Coil that we've leveled to 3 with a free level 1 slot, managing maximum might becomes easier since you will consume less stamina when rolling or using Foresight Slash. Antivirus level 3, along with the ability from the Gore Magala set bonus, Black Eclipse, provides a 25% affinity boost once the self-inflicted virus from Black Eclipse has expired. And the last ability that increases affinity is Weakness Exploit, which at level 2 gives 10% affinity on weak points, plus an additional 5% on wounds. All these skills, plus the 5% base affinity on the weapon, allows us to reach 85% affinity at 95% with the Corrupted Mantle. The only way to reach 100% without the Corrupted Mantle would be by using Weakness Exploit level 5, but this would require sacrificing other offensive skills like Counter-Strike and Burst, and it's definitely not worth it considering their strength. In fact, the effective raw with Counter-Strike and Burst is 486, while with Weakness Exploit 5 it drops to just 455. Speaking of Counter-Strike, at level 3 it gives 25 attack and lasts for 45 seconds. With the longsword it's particularly strong due to the large number of animations with hyper armor that the weapon has, such as the Spirit Thrust, Spirit Release Slash, the start of the Spirit Discharge animation, the Focus Strike, and even the Foresight Slash and Spirit Slash after a successful counter. So by using these moves on attacks that would normally knock you back, the hyper armor will protect you from the knockback, but will still receive the attack from the Counter-Strike. Burst, on the other hand, is a skill that, even at level 1, grants 8 attack and 60 element. It activates after hitting 5 times and remains active as long as you continue attacking within 3 seconds, which is quite easy, considering how fast the longsword is in Wilds, especially with the Crimson Slash playstyle. With this build, we recommend using the Corrupted Mantle despite being heavily nerfed. Corrupted Mantle still remains very strong, but if you want to start a new hunt and it's still recharging, you can run this alternative version with the Evasion mantle, which got buffed in the latest patch. You can check out our full dedicated video where we compared Corrupted Mantle versus Evasion Mantle to find out exactly how much damage they deal and which one is better now. It's linked here in the video and down below. This Evasion Mantle version is basically the same build, but with Adrenaline Rush instead of Counter-Strike, since with the Evasion Mantle you want to prioritize dodging over hyper armor moves. Adrenaline Rush level 2 gives you plus 15 attack for 30 seconds after a well-timed dodge, so it synergizes perfectly with this mantle. And keep in mind, Adrenaline Rush also procs with the Foresight Slash, but not with the EI Spirit Slash. The next build is centered around the Zoshia Longsword, allowing us to make the most of White Flame Torrent thanks to Scorcher 2, which is achieved with the 4-piece Guardian Rathalos. How White Flame Torrent works is that every 3 to 4 hits with a 6-second cooldown, the weapon triggers a 50 true raw damage explosion upon hitting a monster. So it doesn't matter which part of the monster's body you're hitting, the damage will always be fixed. However, Scorcher 2 increases this explosion from 50 to 80 and also adds fire damage, and this fire damage is not fixed, meaning the more the monster you're facing is weak to fire, the more damage explosion will deal. Unfortunately, most of the Longsword's moveset does not trigger White Flame Torrent, including Helmbreaker and Spirit Release Slash. That's why this is the only build we recommend using exclusively with the Crimson Slash playstyle. Overall, this build has lower effective raw compared to the previous one, mainly due to lower affinity at 70% instead of 85, agitate at level 2 instead of 5, and critical boost at 3 instead of 5. We're talking about an effective raw of 422. This is roughly a 15% drop, quite a lot. That said, we recommend this build for monsters weak to fire and dragon, as well as for more casual hunts, especially in multiplayer or during long fights, where you won't always be able to consistently hit the monster weak points. In those cases, the consistent value from the fixed damage explosions might actually outperform the raw power of the previous build, plus the Zoshia Longsword looks very sick. The last one is a comfy build that'll save you huge amounts of potions. We chose to use Zoshia's set bonus Super Recovery. This allows your health to regenerate beyond the red portion of the bar. This is particularly useful considering that while you're tanking monsters' attacks using the Longsword's hyper armor moves, you're still taking damage. But thanks to Super Recovery, that's no longer a problem. Unlike Recovery Speed, which only improves the regeneration of the red portion of your health bar, Recovery Up actually boosts the regeneration speed of Super Recovery, and if you eat for Medic, you can run Recovery Up at level 2 since they stack. This frees up a level 1 slot where you can slot in something else based on your personal preference. Divine Blessing level 3 is, in our opinion, the best defensive skill in the game, with a 33% activation chance. This will make getting hit a lot more forgiving. And despite this build focusing on defense, the power of Zoshia pieces allows us to still include nearly all the most important offensive skills and reach 65% affinity. Its effective true raw is 449, putting it in second place among the 3 builds. All mantles work well with this build, even the Rocksteady. Other variants of this comfy build could include 4 Arcveld pieces for haste recovery, or a mix of 2 Arcveld and 2 Zoshia pieces to activate both set bonuses. But for us, this build felt like the most reasonable choice for players looking for comfort, since haste recovery requires a more aggressive playstyle to be truly effective. Alright guys, we hope these builds were helpful and gave you some inspiration. If that's the case, consider subscribing, it really helps us out a lot. Remember, there sometimes is no best single build in the game, so keep experimenting to find the ones that fit your playstyle the most. As usual, huge thanks to our patrons for the support, and with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.